Love has to do a lot with it. So finding somebody to make that world like worth it.
It's one of the most historical places from childhood. We have been learning about this in history that the nuclear bomb. So that is why we wanted to come and see what really happened. And
It's nice to know coming to Japan there's a lot more morals and values are still very cemented and deep rooted. So coming from another place that has forgotten them.
We're glad that a lot of kids get to see this, even though the images are shocking. But I do believe that it's the only way to stop something like this from happening again.
Well, imagine if you fall in love with every city you go to, if you know people all around the world. You realize that we're all like a global family, and you can't dehumanize someone who's your family.
where are you from?
US.
US.
California.
California. Why did you choose to come to Hiroshima?
I watched Oppenheimer
Okay.
in theaters and I loved the movie. And I was like, I gotta go see what happened, where it was dropped.
Yeah.
And I wanted to learn just more about nuclear stuff and culture.
Yeah, I love history, so it was definitely on my list of places to go, to learn about it.
Did you go to the Memorial Museum?
Oh, yeah.
We just finished. We
you
were
just
walking
finished.
through the.
What was the most impact thing in the museum?
For me, it was
For
the
me-
Black Rain.
For me, it was seeing the children's clothing that they display.
Yes.
I think anything that had to do with children was very hard to see. And then also the paintings of people who paint what they saw the moment the bomb landed.
Yeah.
I think that was very impactful too.
Do you agree or disagree with nuclear countries keep having their weapons?
Disagree.
Disagree.
Yeah, I agreed before I got here. Now I disagree.
Okay.
Because, you just watch movies
Yes. Okay.
and whatever country propaganda shows you, but once you see it and you're like, these are real pictures, yeah, I don't think it should exist.
Yeah, I remember in high school when we learned about World War II. It's very USA centric, so it's very pro nuclear war, I would say, or very pro weapon. But I think we had a speaker once that was a survivor from the war, and that definitely changed my perspective on it at the time. Is the museum really changes your.
How do you think we can make the world more peaceful?
That's a deep question. I think there's not one answer. I think there's lots of different ways. What do you think?
Love has to do a lot with it because I met her, my perspective changed on the world. So finding somebody to make that world worth it was good, and now I want to make more love, so make more kids, better future. Now I start loving the world. When before I was just like, oh, I'm here, I'm existing, it's whatever.
I think maintaining compassion
So love.
and empathy for others as well.
Yeah.
Teaching that to your kids, I think is very important.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, that was
Thank
good
you.
interview. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Where are you from?
I'm from India.
From India. How did you decide to come to Hiroshima?
Hiroshima, actually, it's one of the most historical places from childhood. We have been learning about this in history that the nuclear bomb which invaded by US. So that is why we wanted to come and see what really happened and how, because the nuclear was a very bad impacted on this city. So I think we wanted to visit here.
What do you feel about Hiroshima?
I would say that it's quite a nice place. Yeah, because after having a nuclear bomb, which is a very big deal, and still they have redeveloped themselves, and you won't realize that something like this has impacted the city.
Now, do you think the world is peaceful?
Actually, I won't say that, because if you see that we still have a war going, Ukraine, Palestine. So I won't say that we have peace.
How do you think we can make the world more peaceful?
Not fighting. I think countries are fighting just for the land only. I think just for the piece of land, religion, and that is. So I think we should not be doing that.
Thank you so much.
Arigato.
Thank you for your time. Where are you from?
We're from Australia.
Why did you come to Hiroshima? Why did you choose to come to Hiroshima?
Well, for me, it was more just the historical impact that it has, like globally as well, and just I wanted to learn more about it. And being here, it's definitely more touching, I guess. Like, I guess you don't feel it until you're actually here. The museum was
great.
Very interesting, very impactful, and very sad as well. Just disheartening, I guess. A lot of stories as well. But very interesting and a lot to take back as well. So yeah.
It was interesting to see what was built after the bombing as well. Like the fact that the city, I wasn't expecting the city to be this like progressed, but
That's true.
it's it's very impressive considering it had to be entirely rebuilt. So.
Do you think the world is peaceful now?
It's a deep question. It's a good question. It's a tough question to ask to answer quickly. Do you want a short answer? Unfortunately, no. I would love it to be. As a Christian and a believer in God, I would love for it to be peaceful. Unfortunately, I think it's a long way away. It's something that requires unity across the entire world, which is something that's been a challenge and a struggle since the beginning of time. But it's nice to know, coming to Japan, there's a lot more sovereignty in the country and just general respect. And it's nice to see. Whereas in the West, unfortunately, at the moment, it feels a little bit forgotten. So it seems here that the morals and values are still very cemented and deep-rooted. So I hope you guys keep it up and don't forget about them, because it's coming from another place that has forgotten them. It's not nice. So and the quality of life isn't the same. So just to everyone in Japan, stay strong and keep doing what you're doing. So.
How do you think we can make the world more peaceful?
It's been regurgitated a few times, but treating everyone with respect and kindness and forgiveness is probably the way you should live your life. Again, I'm very impressed by the respect and the service and how everyone conducts themselves in Japanese culture. So just keep up. Like I said, just keep the same thing going, and I think you guys will have a very peaceful experience for a longer time than everyone else. So.
I think, going off what Michael said, I think if you have those sort of values of respecting one another and treating everyone with kindness, you kind of unite. So I think just unity would make such a peaceful place.
Easy. It's kind of easy.
Easy to do. It's easy to do.
Just respect people and respect yourself, and have a little sovereignty in your country, and it goes a long way. So.
Thank you so much for
That's
your
all right.
time.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Where are you from?
We are from Spain.
From Spain. You guys already visited the Memorial Museum. So what was your impression?
We were speechless, pretty much. Pretty startled, shocked, moved in any sort of way, and not very optimistic towards the future, sadly. I wish I could be optimistic, but I'm not sure how I'm feeling right now.
I see.
But it was a must for sure. It's something you have to see.
We're impressed about Spain didn't. You can tell.
Yeah, we were surprised because Spain was not a signatory for stopping the nuclear war use, probably because of the NATO participation, and we were really sad to just see that Europe, the US, Canada, Australia were not part of this.
We're not.
Yeah.
I see.
We were just talking coming here that we're walking on the same ground that was devastated, but we cannot really imagine
we can imagine it.
what it must have been for those people. But yeah, we're kind of speechless all the time. We don't really know what to say. It's just observing and taking it all in, and I don't know, just maybe sharing the sorrow and impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about nuclear weapons?
It's embarrassed. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's probably the worst catastrophe that ever happened is that they were invented and released, and we're just against it.
It's something that people created. So I don't know if this is
Weapons to destroy themselves, which is stupid enough as it sounds. So we're just totally against it.
What do you guys think? Can we help to stop war?
As individuals.
Yeah.
Or
we're in education, teacher. I am social educator.
it's our best weapon, the good weapon. We believe in education, we really do, and maybe that part of us is optimistic, because that would be our way to help, to tell and share. I'm going to share with my students everything that I learned here once I get back, for sure.
I see.
But I don't see how
Yeah,
else
and speak
we could
louder.
help.
Participate.
Yeah, we could just speak about it, and but the important people, that those are who really have to make decisions. We can maybe pressure a little, but I'm not really sure how we could help.
I see. So you guys are both teachers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think you maybe have seen that we have a lot of kids that travel from other parts of Japan to visit the Memorial Park, the Peace Park, to make them learn and conscious about what happened. Do you guys agree with that side of the education?
Yes, we were just saying that we're glad that a lot of kids get to see this, even though the images are shocking, and some of them were pretty startled and shocked in there. Some of them even were closing their eyes.
Yep.
But I do believe that it's the only way to stop something like this from happening again. Like we're saying, telling people what happened, and well, probably they know it better than we do because they do have families here. But yeah, we support this way of educating. Yeah.
So do you think it's also one thing we can try to had in other countries, have it like not visiting, nor also like other countries, but your own countries, important places? Do you think it's something important that we have to?
Yeah, I think Spain is not the way. It's not.
That's not how it works.
No.
Yeah, same as in Germany. I'm just remembering Germany, a lot of kids go to concentration camps and learn about their recent history. In our country, Spain just doesn't really go that way.
So you guys also went to German, let's say?
Yes.
How was the?
I lived in Germany for a year or so, and it felt like this. There were a lot of schools traveling everywhere with teachers, doing projects, researching. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think every student they visit once a year, at least once a year, something related to their country, recent history, at least once a year, like every grade does that, if I'm not wrong. And I think that's the way to go. Like, how else are they going to know what happened?
I see. So as a teacher, what is the most important thing you want to teach to your kids, to your students when you go back? If only can just teach one thing.
I've got it here in my bag. I took the peace declaration from the Hiroshima mayor. I teach English, so I thought of my students analyzing the text and trying to reflect upon how you can react after a catastrophe in two ways, either revenge or let's not do it again. And they chose let's not do it again. So
I'm thinking maybe the value of life, because it's better care of our people than attack. I work with child where are maybe have conflicts, they fight, and maybe the value of the life is so important.
Respect for human
Yeah.
lives.
I see. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Where are you from?
New York City.
New York City. Oh, why did you choose to come to Hiroshima?
To come to this museum.
Come to the museum.
Yes, and we're also seeing the shrine later today.
Okay. How did you feel after you visited the Memorial Museum?
It made me think about the fact that there's a very thin line in war between what's justifiable and what's unjustifiable. And it's very hard to know these things, I think, for me.
I think similarly, I think it's another reminder of how terrible war can be. I honestly don't know enough about the history of World War II to understand everything that came before it. So I feel like I want to go home and read some more. But just think with the press, just to see the atrocities that people experienced.
And it made me angry and sad that afterwards there wasn't enough help coming to help people. After, like into the 50s and 60s, I don't know how much help was really available to people still having symptoms, having leukemia and cancer, and not only in Japan, but the people who were in the city at the time who went back to their own countries. Some things maybe changed and they were helped eventually, but you know, all of the orphans, and there should have been an outcry from the whole world. And then I read that, you know, the information was not sent out to the whole world, was not allowed to be. That was upsetting to me.
How do you think we can make the world more peaceful?
Education, strong education, and intercultural education. If people know each other's languages, if people know each other's worldviews, if people know each other's religions, and their food and their cultures, then you have to see them as human. If you look at people, if you look into people's eyes, you can't dehumanize someone. I mean, my mom was listening to a podcast that was explaining that there was someone in the US military at the time of deciding where the atom bomb was going to drop, and that person had previously gone on a trip to Kyoto with his wife, like 10 years prior, and he had loved Kyoto, so he said, we can't bomb Kyoto, we have to bomb somewhere else, because he had fallen in love with Kyoto. Well, imagine if you fall in love with every city you go to, if you know people all around the world, you realize that we're all like a global family, and you can't dehumanize someone who's your family. So I think the more isolated we get from each other, the more we're on social media and like don't look at each other, don't travel the world, don't read, don't look at news sources that make us uncomfortable but only show us the world that we know. We have to keep learning more about the world that we don't know and keep expanding our view of what humanity is. And that's how we get to have a more peaceful world.
Well, I agree with my daughter that if you know someone as a human being, it's harder to hurt them. But I also think that there are very powerful forces that promote wars of various kinds. Now, the number of wars happening now is not actually that high if you look at the human history. The number of people affected directly by war, harmed by war, is lower than it's been in centuries. But it always feels worse because I think the 24-hour news cycle is always feeding us terrible news from around the world. And so therefore we always feel like things are very bad, even if relatively speaking they're not as bad for as many people. Lifespans are longer, medicine's better, food shortages are not as bad as they have been historically. So many things are better. But we still have craving to kill each other for some reason. I don't know why, but it's the story of humanity, of human beings. We've been killing each other since we got here for different reasons. But I agree that getting to know people makes it harder to hurt them. That's what the United Nations was supposed to be. Didn't work so well. Or in some cases it did, but not in all cases. So we try. We have to keep trying.
Yeah.
We have to wake up every day and try and do better. And get involved.
Yeah.
And get bright people involved in trying to make some of these decisions.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So much.